There is a print-on-demand strategy that is generating consistent income that 99% of sellers just completely ignore. It's hiding in plain sight. I mean, you've probably seen it working, but just didn't realize what you were looking at. And once I show you this pattern, you'll probably never look at successful print-on-demand products again. Now, most people think that print-on-demand success comes from finding hot products or trending niches. And yes, those things can work, but for the most part, for the evergreen sales, I would say that's complete backwards thinking. The real money here is coming from finding cold products in warm communities. So let me explain here what I mean. Everyone is chasing these viral different designs that can appeal to millions of people. But meanwhile, there are these tiny communities that are buying simple products that nobody else is making. So while you are maybe fighting for attention in these massive markets, these communities are literally asking, begging for products and getting crickets. So I stumble upon this kind of thing all the time. Like, here's an example. I was on Facebook and I saw a group of people who collect vintage calculators. It's a thing, vintage calculators, and there's so many more like this. There's, let's say, 2,400 people in there that are just joking about their calculator obsession and making references that only they understand. I mean, for fun, you could make a phrase something like, my calculator collection is out of control and I'm okay with that. If you're inside Low Hanging System, we've got that master list with the different niches. You could go and just make it for all different types of collections. It just works so simple. Because that kind of thing, you can list it, you can forget about it. And I know when I do things like that, I don't know every time that it's going to make sales, but a lot of times it's easy to make sales to those communities because they just don't have a lot of competition. And that's the kind of thing that can help you click. You're not selling, let's say, to calculator enthusiasts, which is going to be too broad, and vintage collectors would be too general, right? But when you're going to a very specific group of people you're now kind of selling identity validation in a very specific way and helping people feel understood. So here's kind of what everyone's missing. They're trying to create products for big markets when they should be creating products for moments. I mean, think about it. How often does someone go and buy a funny mug? Like, when do they do it just because they need another mug? Never, right? They buy it because something is completely capturing how they feel about their experience. So for example, the vintage calculator people, they don't necessarily need more stuff, right? But they want something that acknowledges their specific obsession in their specific language. And that's completely different from things like generic collector products. Most sellers are thinking demographics, but the smart sellers are thinking psychographics. Now, most sellers also will think about who someone is, and that helps to a degree, but smart sellers will also think about how someone feels. Thinking about the feeling and helping people feel understood. I actually just did my numbers. I've had now over 103 months that I've been making 5 figures a month with print on demand, and this is a large part of what I do. It's not only thing, so I'm not saying that's completely responsible. I'm not saying you'll get the same results as me, but this has been a core thing. I mean, this is really why the strategy works so well here, is because instead of competing for everyone's attention, you are speaking directly to moments that specific people are experiencing. So for example, the night nurse that is scrolling on Amazon at 4 a.m. or the plant parent whose succulent just died again. Side note, I just got off a coaching call and they were talking about how there's a whole niche of houseplant coaches. I didn't know that was a thing, but there's a niche for everyone. Or maybe you make something for the board game enthusiast whose friends just don't understand their hobby. There's so many things. They're not huge markets, but they're passionate micro markets with money and almost zero targeted products. There are tools that can help you find this. If you're in Low Hanging System, we go over it. If you have not yet tried Everbee, that's another tool that I love to find different kind of niches and stuff with. They're actually a sponsor of this podcast, but I use the tool. I love the tool. I'll have a link in the description to them. And the thing is here, while everyone is fighting over coffee lovers, you are serving Tuesday morning survival mode people, right? So while other people might be targeting dog owners, you're creating my Frenchie doesn't like to listen, but I love him anyway kind of things. And that's the thing. My bestie has a Frenchie and she tells me all the time about the Facebook group she's in where people just love to talk about their French bulldogs. The specificity quantity is what is creating the emotional connection, and that emotional connection is what's going to create the sales for you. Now, most print-on-demand strategies tell you to think bigger, but this strategy succeeds by thinking smaller. Smaller audience, deeper connection, higher conversion. You really want to think here, a product that makes 500 people think this is exactly me, it's going to outperform one that makes 500,000 people think this is kind of relatable, right? The math is simple. The emotional precision is going to beat the broad appeal every single time. Plus, there's not that much competition in these micro spaces because they're not obvious, they're not big enough for the big players who are sending into FBA, which also works, but, or, putting on things on Walmart and things like this. When you do this, you're not competing with the professional designers or the major brands. You're often the only person serving that community in that specific way. And even you might say, I know like things like mugs are saturated, but there's still tons of micro niches that are ripe and available for the taking. And then what's more is there's products that people haven't sold to. I mean, how many vintage calculator cutting boards are you going to find as example, or teddy bears or something like that? The products really help too. And when people start to discover this approach, I mean, sometimes people start to see big results. Students can start finding these overlooked communities everywhere. I mean, there's, let's say, specific workout groups that have specific terminology. Maybe there's homeschool parents with struggles that others don't know about, or remote workers with particular frustrations about video calls. Remember when Zoom was a whole thing on the quarantine products? I mean, each community has its own language, its own unmet needs, its own moments. And once you start to learn these patterns, you can start to replicate the process infinitely. I say all the time, expect to fail 98% of the time, and definitely go by that. But also, as you're doing things, you'll start to see what works. You'll start to see this kind of thing in practice, and it'll help you get that number lower. But basically, you just want to find community, learn their language, serve their moments. You can go kind of pray and spray first, and then go in even more after you start to sell, but this kind of thing really helps you scale up those winners. It's not like it's rocket science, it's just applied empathy with systematic implementation. Now, here is the thing about hidden strategies is that they don't stay hidden forever. So right now, these micro communities are underserved because this approach isn't necessarily mainstream yet. But every month, of course, more people are going to discover, especially with AI. Every month, there's going to be more competition entering these spaces. That said, print on demand still has a ton of room. If you saw my other video where I shared precedence research says we're going to have 26% year-over-year growth until I think it was at 2035. Don't quote me on that, but it's for a while. So I would say while the window for easy entry, of course, there's more competitors every day, there's still a lot of opportunity, but I would say, of course, the sooner that you do this, the more opportunity you're going to have over those who discover it later. So if you want to learn exactly how to find these hidden opportunities, kind of how I structure things, get support, I have a complete course called Low Hanging System. There will be a link for that in the description. It shows you the specific tools for finding different niches, how to make phrases for them, master lists of niches that you can go into. I mean, there's a zillion other things. Link in the description for that. And then subscribe if you want more insights on what actually works in business, because I'm actually doing it right now instead of kind of the recycled advice that a lot of other people might teach. The opportunity really is massive, and the question is whether you will be early or late to recognize it, but I definitely think there's still opportunity.